All right. So we're here today on the first A Course in Miracles Miracle Man podcast. And I decided to do this instead of just making random posts on my newsfeed on Facebook because we got a pretty good response from a lot of friends and what have you. But I kind of felt like it was maybe a little bit too personal. Just, randomly dropping, uh, spiritual related, videos on my newsfeed. I I think that there's, everybody's into different things, and, I'm a little sensitive to, people, just, dropping their belief systems on everyone, especially on Facebook because, it's supposed to be friends related. Um, and so I thought about it for quite a while, and that's why it took me a while to get back to blogging, putting another video together. Um, and I just said, you know what? I think it might be time that we that I, if I'm going to do this, and it's something that really's been uh, resonating with me, and there has been something inside of me telling me to do it. Course, so I'm gonna keep it up, because I think that there might be some people out there who really like it. Plus, it could help actually, but, like it helped me. But really, a lot of it too, is I just don't want, I don't wanna be forcing my beliefs, on anyone, um, and I just figured it would be nice because I set up a Facebook page, and I'm gonna start a group, where I invite people to watch the videos, uh, which really are gonna be, kind of like, a journal slash documentary, some way, on my, journey, going through the teachings and the philosophy that I've gotten from the, Course in Miracles, um, books and, well, the main text and the workbook so far. So and I just think it would be interesting because I had some other friends said they were interested in listening to those as well. Um, and I think it would be interesting, that maybe we could even share, stories. Maybe I'll even have some, folks over on, and we'll talk about it, or do it by, video, or a share, Zoom type of a, uh, show. But, and the videos probably will be a little longer than, 5, 6, 7 minutes. It'll probably be like, I don't know, a half hour or 20 minutes or maybe longer sometimes. I just don't know, really. But, I wanted to do this, and I also, have some things that I really wanna talk about jumping off the, last video that I did, and that I kinda promised my wife, Rachel, that I would talk about because I think it's, there are some things as I feel about it, as it relates to the A Course in Miracles, that I really think, could, be really, really impactful on people, um this day and age due to so much chaos that's been going on in the world. Um, and maybe maybe these ideas can help people, to, uh, handle them better, like they have for me. Um, this is kinda, my own book. This was kinda what I came to me, because I was starting to get too heavily involved in other things going on in the world that I was letting, affect me too much. So anyway, I'm gonna jump off now. It's Father's Day, June 15th, 2025, and I got my Father's Day shirt on. The kids got me, not this year, I think last year. Um, and we're just about to have dinner, and then I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna kinda get into this. So stay tuned. Okay. We're back. I just got done an unbelievable Father's Day, dinner, Rach made for me and the kids, and I'm feeling pretty good. Just got all my new, podcast, uh, equipment in, the mic, the stand, the headphones, new light. That actually came while I was eating dinner. So, I'm even looking better, man, than I was before dinner. And I clicked on the high definition, so I'm in high definition now. So, anyway, back to Course of Miracles, and actually, I left off talking about some of the things that um, have been going on that have, uh, at least for me, um, caused me to want to go a little deeper to find some answers. Um, And so I guess let's start with that. So when I left off on my last recording, I was talking about how A Course in Miracles created a mental image of, and I talked about how in the old cartoons that where they talked about having the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and it actually, uh, uses that concept. What they talk about, is, uh, us having kind of a dualistic kind of a mental makeup, and, I mentioned bipolar, in a sense, that's kind of the concept, um, but it's just a simple concept that you got the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, like in the devil, which it calls the devil the ego. Um, and I'm going to talk about ego in a minute because there's so many connotations to the word ego, and it's been used, maybe overused, to the point where you may not completely understand where A Course in Miracles is coming from in regard to the term ego. But and so when this is going on, this kind of internal conflict that and mind you, the book is based on uh, this woman, um, Helen Schuckman, uh, having a voice which turns out to be every by all intents and purposes Christ dictating this book to her. And, obviously, that's a far out idea and concept until you read it, and then you're like, "Holy smoke, that" I mean, I don't know how it could be anything else. Um, and so he's explaining this dualistic, m makeup in our head and the whole reason it evolved and all that, and it gets pretty deep into that kinda stuff. But then when it breaks down the ego, uh it really, uh, it gives it so many more dimensions than I ever, thought of it, um, and by doing that, it started, it actually it started resonating with me stronger and stronger because I started realizing more and more that I was that I felt like the things it was describing were the things that I've actually experienced going on inside me. And that's when it got interesting. Now, before I get into that, I wanna kind of put this out there that I kind of put out to Rachel, and, uh, Rachel's my wife, by the way, if anybody doesn't know her who's watching this. I'm Brian Dougherty, and I am, the host of this, Miracle Man podcast, that I am just kinda considering, like a diary slash, uh, documentary on my experiences and with A Course in Miracles. Um, and I had said to her, the reason why I thought this had really had such an impact on me in realizing this is because when I realized that this internal conflict seemed the way it was describing it, I was really identifying with deeply and was starting to recognize a lot of, internal dialogue that I have, especially when it comes to my emotions. And just to put it kind of plain, um, in a nutshell, to me, they were just saying that the ego talks to us in ways, um, and they gave some, specific things to know. Because you're like, what voice is talking to me now? Which one then? Well, it was really easy. Any voice that you're hearing or any information that you're hearing in your head that causes negative feelings, whether it be anger, um, insecurity, fear. Fear is a really big one. Guilt is another really huge one. Um, but any kind of negative feelings, immediately it's coming from that that devil inside of you or the ego inside of you, for lack of a better term. So, I mean, that made it very easy for me to, like, dissect. It's not a lot to it. If I'm feeling good, okay, that's my true self, or what, um, A Course in Miracles refers to as, the Son of God, where Christ the Christ consciousness inside of you, um, which is, we're all sons and daughters, children of God, and the true self produces a positive, everything positive inside of us, happiness, love, um, you know, uh, any kind of like kindness, any positive emotion that um, you experience is coming from your true self. And any negative emotion or feeling is coming from um, the devil inside of you, the ego. So very simple to, kind of think and dissect, so to say, because I'm a simple guy. I got to have it simple, right? And so when I started noticing that, I started identifying that with that in mind. I started realizing the connotations to this, all the things that were making me like angry or fearful or feeling guilty. All of these things um, were self-created. Um, and so I was in a conversation about like the things that are going on in the world and kind of the polarization of uh, our country now, the U.S., but politically and the world. You know, when you look at Ukraine and Russia and um, you know Israel and all of the craziness that's going over there in the Middle East with Palestine and what have you. Um, and then boom, a light bulb went off. I've been doing this spiritual reading forever, and I don't know if any of you ever heard of a Thich Nhat Hanh. Look him up, Google his name. Um, I have to look up how to spell it again, but uh, and anyway, he just passed away over the last few years. Really famous, like Buddhist uh, priest of our time. Has written uh, dozens and dozens and dozens of spiritual books, and I've read several of them. I mean, just a really tremendous articulator, and probably one of the most famous things he ever said um, was, "If there's a war inside of us, there won't be long before there's a war outside of us." And I'm reading the Course in Miracles, and I'm like, wow, like, and they're explaining the war, how and why it exists, and they're dissecting it pretty easily and making it like pretty easy to identify and pretty easy to like get to the root of and say, huh, well, I mean, if I'm having this feeling and it's if the rule is all negative feeling comes from this ego part of ourselves that shouldn't be there and wasn't there originally. And it's man-made. And they get into the reason why it's man-made and what have you. Then I just got to put that away. So whatever I hear from the outside, whatever it is. Oh, the one of the biggest things, maybe the biggest thing it talks about is all judgment that we make on anything comes from the ego, and it's all rooted in negativity. And judgment in and of itself is probably the most damaging process, internal process that we can do inside ourselves. So whatever we hear, as soon as we start thinking about it in a way that we're judging it, even if we think we're trying to be positive about trying to help it be better, we're not actually helping it. Okay? Not only are we not helping it, we're hurting ourselves as we're doing it because that negative energy builds up, builds up. And that's how, and I've been through this, that's how people get into the point where they're having anxiety attacks and panic attacks and these things because we allow these things to go on routine all day, every day, judging ourselves, judging other people, judging our kids, judging, our friends, judging, each other in so many ways, ourselves a lot, right? Beat up on ourselves. Judgment may be the single most harmful mental process that's fully uh, the responsibility of our ego or that devil inside of us. That once you cut that out, you don't let it have its way inside. You don't play it out to yourself. You don't consider it natural and just let it be. Oh, I'm being honest. I'm being real. Once you cut that out, along with so many of the other like fear and guilt. Fear is a really tough one, right? And we'll get more into that as time goes. And of course, the Miracles addresses fear and guilt in unbelievable detail. Um, but with that said, and I thought of Thich Nhat Hanh, there's a war inside of you. It won't be long before there's a war outside of you. And then I thought, oh my goodness, there's a constant war inside of us, a constant one that we don't even understand the anatomy of. And so we're always going to have a ton of wars outside of us because we haven't resolved the war inside yet. we don't understand the anatomy of how to do it. And once I felt like I understood the anatomy of it, it some of the battles like judgment and whatnot have actually been on more the easier side for me. But some other ones, uh, like fear in particular, so conditioned into us. You really got to work on that one. And guilt too, because we feel guilty about a lot of things that we don't even realize we feel guilty about. It takes a while to, unwind this stuff. Peel down the onion inside of yourself to know if you sometimes you could be walking around, you're just not feeling good inside. You don't even why. You don't even know what emotions are related to it. Um, and then after a while, you start peeling them down. In the beginning, it's like a hodgepodge, so it's hard. But once you start picking out some, and then that one's not there anymore. But so what's left? And then you're finding them. I know guilt for me. I never, I first heard that. I'm like, I don't feel guilty about anything. I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of dumb stuff in my life. Don't get me wrong, and I regret it. But I've tried to make amends with all those things, so I don't leave myself in that position, right? And so I couldn't really recollect why I did. And then as of recently, I'm, getting up like last week and, wow, you know what? There is something there about guilt. Get up in the morning, I've, what I do for a living, I work for myself. So I work on my own schedule. I feel guilty sometimes that, I got such control of my schedule. My wife has to go to work. I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that. Right. And so, but I'm wake up in the morning sometimes feeling like a negativity, like I shouldn't be happy enough to be doing it. I should be happy that that's for me. I should feel guilty about it, right? Even though I'm up till 2 in the morning a lot of times at my computer working on some nights. I've been up all night sometimes when my work gets like that, but it, it's not most of the time. So it's just unbelievable, like these wars going on inside of us. And so, with the war constantly going on, and it's of course we're going to have a ton of wars going outside of ourselves. So immediately I thought about like the politics going on. Like, should we argue? You know, it's built to argue. It's like the system of politics is built to argue, and it's a perfect arena to take all that inner war and push it out to the outside. And what you're doing is called projecting. You're taking that word, everything going on, you're just pushing it out. You're making you're making your surroundings like that. But guess what? It doesn't start out there. It starts in here. And if you just slow down, you know, and if people only had a little bit of knowledge about how it is going on in here and what's causing it, and they could just give themselves a little time to be objective, they'd realize that was true. And if we could spend just more time resolving that, those wars outside of us would just dissipate. We would have no need anymore to just wanna just feel like there was nothing there to push out. And I was like, "Boom, that's it. I absolutely know. It doesn't make any sense if my beliefs are different than this person's beliefs for me to try to go march this place or that place and yell and scream and show my anger. I understand it, and that part of me still feels like I wanna do it, and I still have the same beliefs and whatnot, but I wanna do something that actually can change it." And it talks about this in the Course of Miracles. Egos, they just they don't want resolution. The nature of the ego is conflict. You're on this side, I'm on that side. That's what its premise is made up on, separation. You're you, I'm me. And that's how it started, and they talk about that a lot in the Course of Miracles. We weren't originally separate bodies. We're made up of our minds, not our bodies. And there is a universal mind. And yet the theory is the universe or God is the universal mind, and we're actually just extensions of that. And everything we think is an open book to God because it's his mind we're actually utilizing to think. It's what gives us life. We didn't create it ourselves. And that's one thing they talk about in it. They call it the authority problem. We think we're the authority of this, our creator of this life, and that everything we have in our head's private. And, when you go about your daily, day, you get up on the average morning, it's easy to believe that. You just you can't get around the idea that you don't know how you really got here and you don't know why. You don't really know what gives you life. And every time I go to have a family member I love or someone that's, important to me, and it's something that could be just a neighbor. I had a neighbor die last year, so a guy a couple doors down. And man, I was affected for months over that, months, right? Because the guy was, we'd run into each other, we'd talk sports, a few times a week. I enjoyed my encounters with him, and I missed him. And and then, if you go to a funeral, if anybody's had like, a parent or a friend pass away, and it's obvious that life isn't there anymore. It went somewhere. So, anyway, not to be all philosophical, I like to, you know, I like to think we're not just a computer that boom, we go off, and that's it. I I believe there's a creator of this. I believe that it wasn't us because it wasn't me. I could tell you that because I have no idea how I really got here. I've said that to Rachel a million times. Get up some mornings. I'm like, what the heck got me here, right? And anyway, so this is what I told her. The light bulb, the aha moment when I first started uh, reading the A Course in Miracles, and this inner conflict is causing the outer conflict. I just want everybody to know that uh, that's what's spawned this whole thing, and that's where that's why I'm inspired to talk about it, because I believe that a lot of people, if it could for me get an aha moment, like man, and I think I can. And it's changed my life because now suddenly things that were ruling me, I don't feel like they're ruling me anymore. It's not that they're gone. And by the way, I'm no expert in this. I don't want anybody thinking that I think I'm an expert in this. I'm not. That's why I said I want this to be kind of like my, uh, you know, it's almost like you know, a documentary to it in a sense, talking about stories that it's affected. Um, you know, or even like a diary to a certain degree talking about it. But, and I could just leave you at this in terms of how it's affected me. Um, your kids, um, we have different experiences with all our kids, and, they're their own people. They have their own belief system, they have their own thoughts, uh, they're independent. And from day one, they're their self. And no matter how some people try to like want them, mold them into what they want to. If you're really true to them and to yourself, you don't. They become their own person. And so my son Case, who's definitely, like he's his own person. Um, he I realized, because my younger son plays sports. There's a lot of things like I did when I was younger, but I didn't play all sports. My brother he was the real athlete, right? I played some sports, right? Um, but I was also a builder and musician, and he loves just building and being a musician. He sings in his high school rock band, and he's just into it. And not that I'm, you know, don't like that he does that. It's just, when he was younger, you wanted he did try some sports and, it just didn't work out. He didn't have his interest. And so, in our house, it's like sports every day, Phillies every week for sure. Every other day, the Sixers, you know, and of course the birds, I mean, that, you know, it's been since since I got home from being born. I came home on Super Bowl Sunday, and even though it wasn't the Sixers in 1968, 1967, I mean, it was, my first day ever at home with my family. The Super Bowl was on. Anyway, um, so that's just not him. So we've always, had to, work hard to click with stuff and enjoy conversations. And, when this stuff started coming to me, I realized that a lot of judgment was going on in my head, and not just with him, but, all my kids, but to different degrees. Because it goes on in my head about myself way more even with them. So, um, anyway, I as of recent, and he's always had this thing where like he only likes specific foods, wouldn't open up no matter what. And we'd be like, "Oh, try this, try that." "No, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good." Right? And I've been practicing this non-judgment part of this for, several months now, and we're out Friday night, this past Friday night. It's Sunday now, and we're all at dinner, and it was, they got their last day of school, so we went to California Pizza Kitchen, a little different. We just go to the diner most of the time. And, uh, he's only ever gotten 1 or 2 things on the menu, right? Um, at California Pizza Kitchen, he only ever got the, tortillas with the guacamole, and he never touches the guacamole, he just eats the chips, right? And, we're having a great conversation, and, like, I realize, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, we're having great conversation. That voice isn't in there, judging this, judging that no more." And so when it's not there, it's like, "Whoa, man, the energy's flowing now." We're laughing, and, suddenly, he says, I think I'm gonna get a pizza." He's getting a white pizza with pepperoni. We're like, "Really?" And, afterwards, I said to Rach, I'm like, "I don't know, I just had a strong sensation that since I haven't had that judgment going on in my mind, uh, and we're flowing with conversation and laughing, suddenly it changed the energy in him. Maybe he was, like, having a subconscious protest against, us, not even realizing it. And now suddenly the things that he was protesting, because he could feel our judgment, the questions you ask, "Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" And then suddenly it's like, "Oh my god, it's starting to dissipate." To me, that was a miracle. And that's been happening to me since I started this A Course in Miracles. So I just want to share all that with everybody. I hope this, first kinda podcast episode is something that you enjoyed and maybe could be helpful, and maybe you leave some comments, and likes or what have you, uh, and, um, and we'll go to the next one. Have a great one. Have a happy Father's Day to everybody as well. I know they'll be belated by the time I post this. Have a great one. Thanks.